Hey folks, welcome back to Budget Bushcraft. My name is BK. Today I wanted to talk about, I left my brand new Chill Gorilla tarp out in the woods, which I'll mention again a little bit. We had a really pretty heavy rainstorm and windstorm, and I woke up in the middle of the night frightened that my tarp might be damaged from it. I will give Chill Gorilla big kudos for the fact that the little plastic tie-out triangular D-ring type thing at the four corners of it did not break and didn't suffer any damage. But I've seen a lot of videos where people have been using tarp buddies and rocks tied out at the corners without actually using the connections that seem to ease their worry about damaging their tarps. I've modified some tarp clips that I already had, especially to be able to like put up a porch mode with sticks or trekking poles that I think could come in pretty handy. So let's go see what I got. Oh yeah, I meant to mention that my condo is adjacent to a Department of Natural Resources recognized wildlife area. So I've been blessed by being able to get out here and practice what my family calls the craft, which I think they mean I'm like sitting out here with a big, huge black kettle and making potions and stuff. But anyway, I'll mention that a little bit later in the video, maybe shoot some pictures of the condo and the property entrances and stuff. Pardon the birds. But this is an amazing place that I'm able to get out and do this every single day. Hey folks, welcome inside to my workshop. Underneath this cozy, koozie, whatever you want to call it, from whatever part of the country you're from, I have the greatest thing since the invention of the tarp clip. Wait for it. Ta-da! A modified tarp clip. I wanted to make sure that I didn't rip the corner out of a tarp just by tying a rope to a grommet or a D-ring on the end. And I've seen where people have actually just taken, like, I think I mentioned earlier in the video, rocks and things like that. So what I've done is take a Tecton tarp clip, which is a thumb screw type, as opposed to the push and pull tensioning clip. I just don't think those are strong enough. I've tried them. They tend to slip too much. The jaws are a little bit more aggressive, and not in the sense that you're going to rip stop or a cell nylon type of material, but you can get a pretty good clamp down on it. I've taken a 2-part Gorilla Glue epoxy and glued that on top of a 1-inch piece of PVC plumbing repair. I think I paid like 50 cents for this. The actual Tecton tarp clips were somewhere in the neighborhood of about $7.65 for 4 of them, and then bought an 8-pack for about $3 of a convex rubber washer. That's the type that would go from the inlet plumbing up to the bottom of your toilet. I've trimmed it down so that it is the same width as the thumb screw, so it's not getting in your way. And it also keeps with that shape and the fact that it's rubber. If you want to use that for like a center pole in a teepee type thing, you're not going to damage the fabric of your tarp. So anyway, for about $3, I've created, oh yeah, and it's got a hole already in it that you could put maybe a bungee cord hook, or actually tie it out. It was about $3 to make the whole thing. It saved my butt more than once in some really, really windy environments and getting really creative with my tarp. So let's go out, see what we got in a more practical environment. And keep in mind, this video is going to be longer than normal because I did promise to give you some video of the wetland nature preserve that is literally adjacent to my condo. Mosquito net may look like it's hanging awfully low to the ground. I do normally keep a ground tarp of some sort underneath it, but there's a reason for that, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. I know this isn't a review about my new legit bug net, and there's already been a review previously of the Chill Gorilla Fortress tarp, but there's a few additions that I'll be able to show you when I use my new tarp clips. That is typically how I would set up porch mode, with the tent pole mods at the top, giving me a little bit of loft there, a little bit of lift there, and then the trekking poles directly tied out from the, from here on, and I'm just going to refer to those as the D rings. They're actually kind of triangular shaped, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. But what bothers me is that is an awful lot of stress on the corner here and the other one. I don't trust that those are going to hold permanently. You get a lot of wind in here. I've got some bungee cord down at the end of this so that there's a little bit of play here. I just don't trust that that's going to hold and not rip that corner out the way that is set up. So the whole purpose of those tarp clips I modified is so that we can distribute that stress along the seam rather than the tied in grow gain. So I'm going to put these up, as well as I'm going to show you how you can actually lift this up more. This isn't a horrible way to get in, but I just don't like the idea of it being, I can't stand up in here, and I don't really need a lot of room, especially if I'm sitting in the hammock, but maybe I want to walk around in here a little bit, take my shoes off without having to lean on something or fall. Okay, what we're going to do here is flip this up where you can see that these are double stitched in these two directions, as well as there's a cross stitch here in the center. You really only have this stitch across the corner here kind of supplying the entire load for this. So I'm going to fold this under and get a bite across all three of these. Tighten it down. I'm going to do that on the other side, and then I'm going to show you how easy this is to customize the height of the entrance to your porch. So at this point, you probably want to just find a couple of sticks. Dead wood would be fine as long as it's not dry rotted. um, about the diameter of the plumbing conduit piece. You can always find something close and whittle it down to fit inside of it. And then I would also sharpen the end of it to drive it in the ground a little bit. So you're looking for something that's probably, if you wear a hat like I do, about 4 inches taller than you are, or at least make it that way. Let's see what we can find. All right, after a few minutes wandering around, found a couple of sticks. This one was almost perfect on one end. Gonna pop that inside the conduit piece, stand it up, push it in the ground a little bit, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. This one was a little bit wider, but just took a little bit of shaving. And you may have to adjust those guidelines a little bit to get rid of some of the sag, but for the purposes of this video, I'm okay with this. As you can see, now, rather than those tent poles only being about, the tarp pole, let me try that again. The trekking pole being about yay high, I can actually walk underneath this with a little bit of sag here. I just don't want to reduce the height of the ridge line for the tarp much, because I do want to be able to close that down at night and close off the doors to keep as much wind out of that as possible. Okay, before I run out of battery, the reason why I was showing the bug net earlier and the fact that it might be touching the ground a little bit, I can actually connect the bug net, which is by Legit Camper, to the tarp ridge line, which is obviously going to set higher. And I'll show you that just now as I get in the tent. Hammock. So as you can see, the ridge line is way up here now that I've put my weight in the hammock. That bug net is going to be completely off of me and still not touching the ground. One of the other advantages is that you can just use it as a tarp clip and tie out either side or both sides of your hammock, just to be able to reduce a little bit of the sway if it's really windy out. Now hopefully with this particular tarp, you're not going to have that much of a wind problem. But if you don't want to put the tarp all the way up, or you start napping in it and it does get really windy, it will reduce swaying back and forth. Okay, as I was getting ready to pack up, I just actually thought about another use for this. If you were to drill about a 1/4 inch, maybe 5/8 inch hole right here at the base where the clip is perpendicular to the face of the piece of conduit here, put a hole in there. You could put 2 of these on this and either use a piece of tent pole or possibly just a stick, and actually create a bridge hammock if you wanted the extra room at your feet. So I hope you enjoyed my idea for lifting the tarp, opening up your porch mode a little bit, stopping the sway in your hammock. This can be used many different ways, and it's not 100% my idea or my invention. I've just tweaked it a little bit for my needs. So if you have any other ideas for the use of these, or other ideas for making something similar, please comment below, and don't forget to like and hit that notification bell. And like I've always said, just get out here, enjoy this, and don't spend a lot of money. Thanks, guys.